We're getting started. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. It's been a little while since I've gone live over here on my YouTube channel, but we're going to be diving in today and we're going to be reacting to this question and answer video that Richard Dawkins did a little bit ago. Obviously, Richard Dawkins is kind of like, is he one of the four horsemen of atheism? I think that he is one of them at least, or new atheism. I don't know. He's been pretty important in terms of just like atheism generally in America. And I think that I have learned a lot from him and really appreciate his insights and stuff like that, and the way that he's stood up for like evolution and not teaching that stuff in or creationism in schools. So I have a lot of respect for Richard Dawkins generally. I do have some issues with like maybe some of his opinions. I just don't agree with some of his opinions. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with him. But like I said, we'll kind of just see what this conversation brings up. And I'm also glad to have you, the audience here, also to engage and just to hear what your insights are, because I'm also a learner. We're live here and we're also live on TikTok. Make sure you follow me over there. Also check the description box or my bio if you're on TikTok for my Discord, for a link to the Discord server as well. All right, so let's actually dive in a little bit. There you go, that's better. Let's fully dive in and we're gonna start this reaction. All right. Once again, thank you guys for being here. Thanks for engaging. It's like the center section. I don't think we're gonna get through the whole video here, maybe like 15 minutes of it. And I am going to put it up to like 1.2 speed because just for the people, you know, just to move things along. All right, let's
reported, both sponsored and both done.
Wonderful. Catherine Campbell states, she says, I get really discouraged about the grasp of religion and wokeism on people. Are you optimistic about the future? And if so, why or how? Thank you for your work.
I'm sort of optimistic in the sense that these things come and go. And I think that, for example, just as McCarthyism is now dead, whereas in the 1950s it was extremely powerful, I think that the sort of dictatorial wokeism that we're seeing at present will pass in the same kind of way. Religion has a much longer history, of course.
I guess I find it very interesting to call it dictatorial wokeism. That's fascinating to me. I guess like maybe I don't see like the blue-haired pronoun person as like a dictator. I more see it as kind of like just someone who's like, you know, sharing their opinion. I will say that if he's talking about like the cultural phenomena of people being upset with people being like publicly transphobic or something like that, I could see where he's coming from. But only with that.
And that may take centuries to go.
What do you think are the mechanisms that shift the tides back into alternate directions? That you've probably seen enough of that happen over time.
Yes, that's interesting, isn't it? Just a gradual shift of opinion. I don't know what it is. People sometimes say something like it's in the air. Opinions just seem to shift all over the world, all over the parts of the world that we see much of anyway. It's hard to tell. I think it's a sort of combination of gossip and dinner party conversations and newspapers, journalism, judges, courts of law, all these sorts of things contribute to the shift of opinion. And I'm just looking forward to the change in the present climate of opinion.
I mean, I'll just say from
what I wanted to say here is to say that the changes in our political climate are just because it's in the air seems incredibly reductive to me. That seems incredibly reductive. I think, man, I guess because I'm thinking about how, for example, like the, yeah, and that's fine. If they want to do the shadow ban for the YouTube thing, that's fine with me. The issue is that like saying that this is just about maybe like it's just a cultural, the cultural winds are changing or whatever. You know what I mean? I feel like that just dismisses kind of the cultural things that are happening. For example, like the summer of 2020 was huge for things like civil rights and the whole George Floyd Black Lives Matter protest situation. And I think that was a huge cultural shifter. Additionally, like Trump's presidency, even this presidency and his existence in the world, I think has massively impacted culture, massively impacted the way that people interact with each other, the way people feel confident about being expressive about their opinions that maybe they have been a little bit more quieter about in the past, you know? That's kind of what I'm thinking about there.
Sort of witnessing how you've approached difficult conversations. I think sometimes having the first person willing to stand up, raise their hand, and essentially deliver an opinion that is not, of the woke mind, but not without, essentially, being able to put something out there that does not have dire consequences to that person, I think is a mark of that early courage, and then other people follow suit.
Well, yes, I mean, nothing to J.K. Rowling, who's really out there in the thick of it. She's invited the Scottish government to arrest her, and it will be very entertaining if they do. She's not an easy person to put in prison, I would have thought.
Okay, and then there we go. We know that I literally just forgot her name after 2 seconds. What's her freaking name? Hold on.
She's invited the Scottish government.
I think is a mark of that early courage, and then other people follow suit.
Well, yes, I mean, nothing to J.K. Rowling, who's really...
I don't know why I literally forgot her name that fast. I don't know. But yeah, for J.K. Rowling, like, she legitimately is, like, severe, like, very transphobic, and is, yeah. And, like, for example, like, ignores history, makes pretty baseless claims, I think. And I think that her position is in my opinion, extremely ridiculous. And if people see her behavior as innocent, I'm questionable. I find that pretty questionable for me. Makes me feel a little bit gross. And I'll talk, okay. As when we get to the trans part, I have more to say about this stuff, though.
Out there in the thick of it, she's invited the Scottish government to arrest her. And it will be very entertaining if they do. She's not an easy person to put in prison, I would have thought.
Correct. But I suppose it's the people like that happening in greater numbers that'll have for the tides to turn. They say, okay, well, I guess if we express this opinion, we won't be fired from our jobs. We won't be put in prison. So maybe it's okay. Okay, Chris C. wants to know, are Islam and wokeism signs of the weakness of humanism to protect strong Western values? Some people even use it as a religion to help anti-Western values to expand with non-scientific dogmas. Humanism could be reformed, or will it be replaced by something else?
Well,
check this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this car.
We don't do YouTube Premium over here.
You ready? All right, 100.
Well, I suppose you could say that Western liberals are soft on both. So if you think about the sort of pro-Islamic bias of Western liberals, which runs flat contrary to what we all believe about feminism, about the treatment of women, about the treatment of gay people.
Okay.
And yet, whereas they're very quick to criticize Christianity for poor treatment of women, for abortion and anti-abortion and so on, Islam gets a free pass. And so to that extent, I suppose, softness towards...
Okay. So this position, I think, is interesting as well, because we're doing this thing that's like, he's going to start doing it later where he's going to say, like, they rarely condemn Islam, but they're always going to condemn Christianity, like it's a negative thing. And we also know that very recently, this is actually been a position that he's had for a long time. He's quoted to be a conservative, a cultural Christian. And then he had another interview very recently where he reiterated that position and kind of basically said, like, I'm so concerned about Islam and the way that Islam is happening in the West or whatever, and is very worried about like that religion taking over. So my position is that perhaps I think that it is true to say that there are liberals who are softer on Islam for some reason. And I say this mostly because I've seen other like YouTube atheists like talk about Islam and be like, hey guys, Islam is also a religion. We shouldn't be as, like open to this because it is a pretty harmful religion, and I would say just like Christianity. There are different types of concerns with these different types of religions, and I think that they're both equally concerning. And to pretend, and I'm not sure if this is what he's doing, but to pretend that, Islam is somehow like this very terrifying, scary thing, and that Christianity is not the same thing, that to me is pretty disingenuous. And that is icky, in my opinion.
Islam and softness towards wokeism go together. I get that point.
The softness towards wokeism is the other thing. And this is why I also just have a difficult time, because who can even define what wokeism is? I hardly can understand what wokeism actually is, okay? So now they're over here saying that liberals are soft on wokeism. I don't know what he's talking. Is he talking? I'm not. And that's what I mean about this word is very difficult. Yeah. Okay. Let's see if he has anything else. Come on.
Making.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. And he says humanism could be reformed, or will it be replaced by something else?
Well, I would think reformed. I would hope reformed.
Yes. Okay. Marcos wants to know on X how genes related to the sexual orientations, how genes relate to sexual orientations and gender.
Okay. Sexual orientation, I take that means homosexual, heterosexual, that kind of thing. Right. It's difficult to investigate these things. One of the ways to do it is twin studies, where you look at, if you've a pair of identical twins and if one of them is gay, is there a strong tendency for the other one to be gay? And the answer is yes. If you compare that with fraternal twins, with non-identical twins, who share in only half the genes, as opposed to all of them, of the relevant ones. So yes, there is a genetic component to sexual orientation. And that I believe is established. It doesn't mean it's inevitable, but
okay. I think that it's what is that called? Inappropriate for him to say that that's established. The only reason is because, like, for example, right after I saw this, I went to the internet and just kind of generally Googled is being gay genetic, and there are many different aspects of it. And so I don't know. I think from my perspective, and mine might be narrow. Someone please come at me, and not come at me, but let me know if there are other opinions, better opinions or whatever. But I don't think that it's established that homosexuality is purely genetic. And like I said, I'm not sure if that's what he's exactly implying. It does seem that he's allowing for some flexibility within this response, but I don't know. For me, it seemed a little too certain. It just made me a little uncomfy, but that's on me.
That there is a strong sexual strong genetic component to the variation.
Very interesting. I'm reading The Nurture Assumption right now. I don't know if that's a book that you've come across.
Remind me of the author.
Oh goodness, I'd have to go run into my room and find it. It's a female out of the East Coast. Steven Pinker wrote the introduction to the book.
Right.
Not in the 1990s, but then she did a follow-up with some more advanced studies where she essentially just says parenting doesn't matter nearly as much as you think it does.
Yeah. I'm familiar with that. Yes, that's very interesting, very surprising. The idea that the peers are much more influential.
Yes.
Than parents. It's rather disconcerting to anybody, to a parent, I suppose. And Steven Pinker is very big on that. Yes, that's interesting.
I asked my mother, I said, because I'm very different from my parents, I said, what percentage of me do you think came from your parenting versus my genes versus my peers? And she actually said, your peers seem to shape you the most in terms of who you became as an adult. So one anecdotal.
And I appreciate that she mentions the anecdotal part here too, just because I think that's useful. But this, I don't know. To me, and I think that because of the weird opinions around trans being a social contagion, I'm curious if there's any of that if there's any of that through line whispering through here. I don't think that it's mentioned directly by any means, but I'm curious about it. It makes me think about that quite a bit. Just because I'm yes, peers are influential. People who are around you, yeah. It's I don't think that they were saying that parenting doesn't matter exactly. It doesn't seem that they were mentioning that it doesn't matter, but it's it seems that peer influence is more significant. And I have a difficult, and like, for example, it seems that it was just one individual's book, one individual's hypothesis. It does not seem like they were stating that, yeah, it doesn't seem like they were stating by all of those things. Yeah. Yeah. So Jamie shares that, just got injected by the woke mind virus, and oh no, you caught it. You just caught it like a cold or something like that. No, but this is kind of a little bit ridiculous. And actually there was, if you guys want to watch, I will, later I will put the link to this video in the description so that people can, watch this original video, because I started it a little bit later. There are like one or two questions that I skipped. I think one of them was about eugenics, but I didn't even listen to it because I wanted to get to the other stuff that was in the video. But and I wanted to react to this part too. So let's move on.
Experience, yes. But fascinating. Okay, the next question from Angie. Why do you, a man of science, deny the reality that trans people exist? Why do you feel the need to hate a minority group that only wants to live their life as their true self and be left alone?
That's a ridiculous question. I don't deny their existence, and I don't in any way oppress them. What I object to is the statement, a woman can have a penis. A trans woman is a woman. I object to that because that's a distortion of language and a distortion of science. But as for saying they don't exist, that's absurd. Of course they exist.
Okay.
And there's no reason why they shouldn't.
So to say that trans women aren't women, I'm pretty sure that's the position where it's like, you essentially are being pretty transphobic, in the sense that, like, if you cannot if you call that a distortion of language, I have an issue, because distortions of language is how the human language develops. And I'm using the word distortion because he's used this word, right? I don't believe that it's a distortion, because I use the word sick, right? That is sick, dude, as a way to say that something is super cool. Am I destroying the word sick? Now, sick people are never gonna know who they are, and it's gonna be like, you know what I mean? Like that, to me, that is the ridiculous aspect. And I think, like, if we were to be so narrow as to exclude any other definitions or possible definitions of the word woman, right? Like, in that situation, I understand where he's coming from. If he literally refuses to expand his mind at all, and I think that one thing that's frustrating is, like, I don't know, I guess that this is, yeah, like, I just feel like this is very natural with how life goes. Like, things are expansive. We learn new things. We're willing to be curious about different changes and stuff like that. That's great. Yeah. The evolutionary biologist doesn't know that biology and sociology are two different things. Correct. And like, I've said this several times before, like, typically, like, the typical woman is going to be, an adult human female, or that's whatever that stupid word is. And that's just, like, accurate, because, that's just the way that the standard deviation, the distribution of human beings, that's how it tends to be. You know what I mean? But we still know, that's why we kind of call it, like, this bimodal distribution, right? We see these things they do have overlaps. He's going to mention something in the future where, if he did the research, he would understand that he was actually factually incorrect, but we'll get there in a couple seconds.
Exist.
Right. And I find that it's so easy in these conversations nowadays, because language has been co-opted in such a way where you can't actually say something as it is without being accused of, denying that someone exists.
Well, exactly. Yes. I mean,
okay. Actually, so that part there, I think that another thing that I'm saying is, like, as we challenge individuals, I guess, and say, like, hey, I'm challenging this position, I think that it's important that we are extremely, if you want these people to I guess, think that you're in the best faith, you do not have to do this if you don't want to. But I think that if that person made a comment that was not, because I understand, because he's going to say, I didn't deny their existence of trans people. I didn't say that they didn't exist. I just think that, the whole concept of, like, calling a trans woman a woman is fucking ridiculous. Like, if they were able to be very clear about what exactly they have an issue with Richard Dawkins' language, I feel like he wouldn't be able to dismiss the entire question. So this part, yeah, it gives him too much room to just be like, oh, you're just silly. This is silly. Oh, no, I'm not. That's not me. I'm not. No, I don't think that of course they exist. I just don't really believe that we should know that they are who they say they are. Or I don't believe that like human language can change at all. Like he's also saying those things. So if we can slow down, really pay attention and listen to what these people are saying, we can better, in my opinion, we can better attack their position because we actually understand where they're coming from and what they're actually saying. Because if you say, you said this or you believe this, they'll go, no, I don't. I don't believe that. I don't believe this. So that's one thing that I've been noticing, and one thing that I feel like could be useful if we're interested to kind of like attack other positions, or, I don't know about if attack is the right word, but you guys get what I'm saying. Right, that's a good, Jamie just has a couple good points. There's an old feminist saying that says, you don't need to be attracted to a woman to respect her, which is so important. And also it says they're usually projecting, wait. They're usually projecting their sexual preferences and a response to not wanting to admit that they run across a trans woman and never know it or be attracted to one. I definitely think that exists 100%, and people are very insecure about that as well. This one as well. Yeah. That part is really odd as well. Yeah. The narrative that like trans people, if like a trans woman is marked as a woman, like they're going to like skew the stats of some in some type of way. I think that's what you were mentioning, or that's what you were getting at, Jamie. Thanks for your
to go from saying that a trans woman is not a woman as a scientific fact to saying you think they don't exist, meaning they don't live and they shouldn't live. That's ridiculous.
So like, I disagree. And this was what I was talking about, but to say that like a trans woman isn't a woman is a scientific fact, I disagree. I don't think that woman is a scientific term. I do not. I think that female is a scientific term. To say that a trans woman isn't, born biologically female, I'm sure, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think anybody's necessarily disagreeing with that. But as a person, literally goes through processes to medically like change their sex hormones, like they then like may need to even like change their medical care and stuff like that. So I feel like if it's medically relevant, then it's scientifically relevant, and then I don't think that it should be ignored.
Yeah.
I'm fed up with that kind of distortion.
Or to assume that what you're saying is somehow hateful. That too, right?
Well, quite. I mean, that's totally ridiculous. It's simply a scientific fact that sex is determined in a biological way, which I could go into, but probably won't.
Well, yeah, sex is determined in a biological way. Sex and gender are different things.
And the fact that people have a psychological feeling that they're born into the wrong body, that's a psychological fact, which I think is probably true. And I have great sympathy with such people.
And I actually was just thinking about this.
Yeah, I don't think, because and I think that just saying, for example, that it's just a feeling is dismissive to the research that we have that has proven that we understand that the structures of transgender individuals oftentimes matches that of their gender. That's kind of what it is. Jamie says, we aren't the people screaming at cis people and misgendering them delightfully. That's kind of the thing. I think if a trans woman, and I know that these arguments kind of, I think, are strongest when we go for the whole, someone who has been able to fully transition, and, the whole passing situation, I feel like is the, sorry. Not hateful, I just say incredibly hateful things. Yeah, I'm I just think they're dismissive, they're in the long term that they definitely are harmful. They're I'll keep using that word, dismissive. I think that's that'll kind of be the whole thing. I want to know, Anima, what do you mean by does that make it biological? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Okay, let's move on.
This last week, and I'm curious what you feel some of the larger implications might be for science, these sort of culture wars, given that all of scientific study separates people by sex. You have your male and your female studies being done. It's very important to do so. What happens when all of a sudden, we're sort of denying that fact?
Okay. I'm going to be waiting a little bit just to see where
sex throughout the animal and plant kingdoms is defined by gamete size. Sperms are tiny compared with eggs, and that defines the sexes all over the animal kingdom. And we understand why that is. We understand how that came about. We understand the universality of it. That is the universal biological definition of.
I guess, like, to my the systems mesh aspect of gender. Oh, and that does make it biological. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I would, yeah, being trans to me is a biological scientific fact. Like, yes, I will agree with that.
Okay. Sex differences. The way sex is determined in various animals is very different. In mammals, it's the XXXY system. In birds, it's similar system the other way around. As you know, in mammals, it's the XY that's the male. In birds, it's the equivalent of the XY that's the female. In many reptiles, it's done by temperature. In some fish, it's done by dominance hierarchy. So there are lots of different ways in which sex is determined in embryology. But sex is defined by gamete size.
What is, I guess, determined and defined? I'm interested in, I guess, the differences and what those words even mean. Okay. Sex, yeah. If other people can kind of like help me out to even get what he's trying to say there, that would be awesome. Because it's like, yeah. So, like, for example, I 100% agree that, like, gamete size is an important factor in determining sex. Absolutely. I'm not going to disagree with that. But there are, to my understanding, there are also other aspects. Okay, prescription versus description. Okay, perhaps. It could be like a prescriptive definition versus the descriptive one, potentially. Because, yeah, within different animals, there are some differences in terms of even like how they sexually reproduce and how many sexes and stuff that they may have and stuff like that. And we know that in certain species of animals, they can have things like sexual dimorphism in their bodies, like half and half and stuff like that. And then, hold on, I'm getting to something that he's going to say here that I wanted to.
The universal biological definition, there are no exceptions to that.
What are you?
That. There are no exceptions. As soon as he said that, I was like, are you sure? And then I looked it up. I was like, is there any recorded history of, for example, a human being specifically having multiple different like types of gametes? And I think, and I have not finished my studies, but so far it seems to be inappropriate to say that there are 100% no exceptions from that. Yeah, that's my kind of thought in that one there. Yeah, I think, and he's done this like a couple of times in this conversation where I think that he's like made statements that, for example, somebody watching will kind of take as scientific fact, like being gay, being like a strictly, like being strictly tied to genetics or something like that. And I don't think that you can make that kind of a statement. All right, so we'll move on from there.
Your thoughts on the rise of pseudoscience and anti-scientific sentiment in contemporary society, just as we were speaking about. This is a question.
Yes, I'm not sure what the questioner has in mind there. If it is about the denial of
scientific sentiment.
I want to read the question, the full question. It says, what are your thoughts on the rise of pseudoscience and anti-scientific sentiment in contemporary society? For example, the claim that males can be women. Okay. All right. Yeah. He does the argument from authorities fallacy a lot. That is definitely what I'm noticing. Okay.
Just as we were speaking about, this is a question.
Yes, I'm not sure what the questioner has in mind there. If it is about the denial of sex differences, then I guess we've just covered it. But maybe they mean something else.
I think that was certainly an example that fits.
Well, creationism would be another one. Would be another stark case which has been around for a while, and that again.
Okay, so like, yeah. Oh God, to compare. Okay, to compare like you said, like this is a, sociological phenomena of gender, of the way that we experience gender in the real world. This is not a scientific fact. They're not scientific facts generally. They're things that we witness, we see how people behave, we kind of prescribe these things as we're witnessing them unfold in this complex like process. It is ridiculous to state that transgender stuff generally is anything like creationism, which is false from the very concept of it, that it is even possible for a creator to exist. Hey Slick, it's good to see you too. But yeah, that to me is super frustrating. That's what I mean. Yeah, they're doing this to paint trans people as some made up thing. That's frustrating to me. I'll just pause for just like a quick second. I get so frustrated with kind of the like, yeah, Richard Dawkins is like totally atheist. Right, yeah. Richard Dawkins is like obviously fully atheist and is very popular in his atheism. And the way that he's doing this it just is frustrating, because I think like there is a lack of skepticism, in my opinion, towards this anti-trans shit. I watched another skeptic have someone come onto their channel talking about how transgender people believe that they have gendered souls. I said, excuse me? My atheist ass believes what? Can you come again? That's incorrect. And he was just like, well, oh, and like didn't even act like, I was like, you're supposed to be a skeptic. I thought okay. I fuck skepticism then. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Oh, oopsie. Well,
and is deplorable. The science is absolutely clear, and it's deplorable that so many people in America still think the world is only 6,000 years old. I mean, that's a real absurd denial of scientific fact.
Absolutely, but there's also,
see, that is where me and Ricky agree there. It's disturbing to me that so little people accept evolution in America. I did the research the other day, and it is somewhere around the 50%, like 48 or 60, like it's somewhere around that range. And I was like so distressed, so distressed. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Even this one's interesting. Even theists believe in gendered souls, so why sing about trans theists? That is interesting. And you're right. There probably are some trans theists who do believe in a very spiritual version of their transgender experience. I do think about like a two-spirit individual or something like that, because though to my understanding, it is very much like within their creation story, it is very much like a mixture of remnants of the male and female soul, to my understanding. But that is not a religion. To call that experience a religion, separate from like other religion or other religious paradigms or something, is bonkers. Let's go with that one. Bonkers to me.
this huge rise of sort of anti-scientific inquiry because of social media and the rise of influencers and healers and people who are going out there saying, don't pay attention to the mainstream sort of line of thinking. And this has become popularized.
Yes, is it? I guess I don't maybe follow the right influences to know that.
It's shocking. I mean, everything from, I'll tell you one example that I've seen gain a lot of traction is women who reject the idea of having a hospital birth and want to do sort of midwife home birthing. And I don't know enough. Yes. I've never been pregnant. I've never had a child. I don't know enough about this process of giving birth to know what is sort of right or wrong. But I do know that childbirth for women for many, many, many years, throughout history, there was a likelihood of death from giving birth. And those rates went way down when you started doing hospital.
Yes. Well, humans are not very good at this because we have a conflict between the need to have a big brain and the difficulty of passing through the female pelvis. And so it's an uneasy.
So like, I feel like I'm trying to be a good, well-rounded person. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I think these points, for example, are really good. Like, it's really good to talk about this stuff because like the crunchy stuff being like, it's bad to go to the hospital. No, you could totally go to the hospital. And also I do, and then also I think in this part, I think he is also a little bit dismissive of the technology of doulas, that like doulas have, I think, advanced in their kind of understanding of birth and like their skill and stuff as well. That's my sorry. So he said those rates also went down when doctors started washing their hands. That's so true. Anima says it feels like neither one of them knows enough about these subjects. I could feel that. But yeah, and I'm not even gonna criticize someone for chatting a little bit about a topic that they don't know, because I do it a lot. But the one difference is like Richard Dawkins is just like an authority, like seen as an authority, like someone who is, his opinion is highly valued. So that's maybe one of the things that I would say. You're a very popular person. Maybe you have a higher responsibility to be a bit more responsible with.
Is a compromise, which is exceedingly painful and as you say, dangerous, unless you're having proper supervision. Of course, many births are perfectly natural and work perfectly well, but
are you listening yet?
Melanie Martinez.
And I think that's interesting. The idea, just the idea that our heads are so big. And like we just have to cause so much damage to get out of our mothers or our parents just because of how big our brains are. I just think that that's kind of silly and ridiculous, and kind of the whole like evolutionary trade-off thing, to my understanding, even the Neanderthals did have either like a longer gestational period, or there's something about their birthing rates were a little bit different. So yeah, even that, yeah. I'm glad that we've survived as a species, basically.
Yes. So I think, in my view, the part of the problem is that people are going online, they're seeing these videos and pieces of content, and they're thinking of a time in their life where science somehow failed them with their health, and they haven't actually learned that science is really a method of thinking and applying that process and that method to any kind of decision making that they arrive at.
Yes, I mean, to reject science per se is, of course, ridiculous. Scientists make mistakes, and there can be bad science, but bad science needs to be replaced by good science, and science is the only.
And I think that I do think that he's currently rejecting science. Like he's completely ignoring like tons of research to support the existence of like literal biological kind of substantiality for the existence of trans people. And the fact that he's being dismissive of that, in my opinion, does say that he is also being one who is doing the exact thing that he is complaining to other people about currently. So
only way we know to get the correct answer to questions about the natural world. So to reject science is preposterous.
Can I ask you, what do you feel are the greatest risks or problems with science as an industry, or science as it engages with industry? Things that impact, as you say, these mistakes that scientists make.
Yes, I suppose when it gets corrupted by financial concerns, when people are motivated more by financial greed than by the desire for truth. When it first became clear that smoking caused lung cancer, and with a very high probability caused lung cancer, there was a tendency for some scientists to be bought by the tobacco industry to deny this fact. And so, because scientists are like they're human beings, and so they are potentially corruptible. But fortunately, science has methods in place for overcoming that, and other scientists come along and verify or test the statements of their predecessors. And so science has this self-correcting process, which should take care of that.
Eat stress-free this spring with.
So I do have that
Factors delicious, ready-to-eat meals.
I do have that opinion, Oh, that's why. Sorry, this is an in movie, in video ad. Okay, I think that was probably the only questions that I wanted to respond to on this one. I'm gonna scrub just in case. To this, oopsie. I'm gonna, like I said, just gonna scrub a little bit just in case I missed anything. Okay, this question was interesting. So I'll talk about, okay, I wanted to mention a couple of things, and then I'll go to that last question probably that we'll watch there. Damn, is Richard Dawkins alive again? Dude, that is Richard Dawkins who was talking. He is still alive. He's not dead. Okay. So yeah, like yeah, complaints about religious people being dogmatic is dogmatic. Yeah. It's so funny. How have people not heard of Richard Dawkins? I don't know. He's like a pretty popular atheist is he a scientist too? I forget like what he does. I have like 17 screens. Yeah, I'm just gonna check really quick. And like I said, he's a biologist. Thank you a lot. I'm gonna hopefully clean this up and hopefully just put some of the more relevant woke and trans stuff in a shorter video as well. But you guys get all the juicy details. Cool. Wait, anything else I wanted to say? Yeah. Oh, ready? He said, anti-science points will be corrected because science is a self-correcting mechanism. Yes. And I think that the whole trans stuff we will continue in science, will continue to let us know that it is a real phenomenon. Okay. And I think, like I said, this is either the last or second to last. We'll see what other questions come up, but I think this might have been as far as I watched the video earlier when I was watching the video on my own. So now we're watching this stuff. You're getting raw reactions here.
Mystical, but I'm open-minded enough to think that it could have some physiological benefits, and my friend Sam Harris certainly thinks it does.
Mr. Dawkins, people talk about hypocrites in any religion who say they believe their religion, but then they don't actually. Are there any hypocrites in atheism?
I'm not quite sure how that would come about. A hypocrite in religion is somebody who claims to believe something but doesn't. I suppose the hypocritical atheist would be one who claims not to believe something but does. I can't imagine why one would do that. I rather doubt it.
Maybe it's an atheist who refuses to walk under ladders or next to black cats.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. Okay. Yes, somebody who has a sort of reserve of remaining superstition. Yeah, I guess there could be some like that. Yes. Yes.
And guys, like, I'm going to give a little bit of shade. Maybe like Richard Dawkins' suspicion of Islam. I don't know. Just kidding. And his suspicion that like if America loses Christianity, that it's going to fall apart. That I'm mostly joking. I don't necessarily think those are beliefs of his, but that's annoying on his part. Okay. Like I want to say, I'm not sure. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that these are probably are. Oh, you're a hypocritical atheist. Oh, I'm sure so many people are probably hypocritical. And I've stated before plenty of times, like I really do appreciate evidence, like having evidence for the things that I believe in and stuff like that. But there are other positions that I have that are I believe them for like super like anecdotal reasons. I don't have a ton of like massive evidence. And in my opinion, they're not for things that like are easily, clear things like the sun is made of plasma. You know what I mean? Like very standard things. It'd be like, weightlifting is the best form of health exercise. I could believe that, you know what I mean? For myself, I could even have data to back it up because there is a lot of data to support how great weight training is. And Sally Joe down the road does yoga or cardio and says that's the best way to stay healthy. For those positions, I don't use, evidence as strongly because I think that there's so many ifs and maybes and all that different type of stuff. If anything, I'll scrub super quickly through to see any of the other question pages, but I don't think that there are any left that I wanted to respond to. Yeah. He spends the last bit of this thing I think, to my understanding, I think he spends, the last bit of it talking about memes, like the concept of cool. The concept of memes, which is just the idea of like ideas that are kind of perpetuated through society and stuff like that, which is just very, very interesting. Yeah, I think that interesting. Yeah, a lot of these old skeptics lead a lot of grifts. I could see it. The more I'm alive, the more I'm really reckoning with my own like difficulty with nuance and like being able to see through a person who might be being dishonest to me. A little bit of naivete that I may have, and a lot of it I think has to do with like the way that my brain works and some like literal thinking. I just like take people directly at their word and don't believe that they are saying things to me that aren't true, which is unfortunate because people are twisted. Like it's this very complicated way of navigating through life. And you know, and I think that, I can even see how maybe some of these things have been influenced by my Christianity in the past. It's like, if you're a Christian, you are trustworthy. I believe you. If you're like, if you're a Christian man, especially, you know what I mean? God, pretty much like one step down from Jesus, essentially. You know what I mean? So like if a person just like, and they just have confidence, I'm like, I believe you. Sure, whatever you say is right. I'm going to go to hell. Great. Okay, I guess. You know what I mean? Like super believable, super trustworthy. And so I can maybe see those echoes within me, seeing, Richard Dawkins as this like atheist that I super respected. As I'm leaving Christianity, he was definitely one of the people that I watched so many other of the atheists, but he was definitely one of them. Yeah. And he's written several books about this stuff as well. So that's great. You know what I mean? And I think Haptivity says that most of your hypocritical spiritual aspects are residual dogma / habit. And I feel like that is super relevant to what I'm talking about now. Like a lot of this, even the way my mindset is just kind of like habitual in the ways that I view people, and like not necessarily taking that extra step to think about other things down the road and stuff like that. Cool. I think that's good. I think we're good. Unless any of you guys have any other questions or any thoughts in addition in the comments that I could bring up, or any other things that, any other insights you think that I might have missed. I might be able to do like another recording and add that to the video that I edit or something like that. But I do like genuinely appreciate you guys being here. Damn it. I was supposed to do this in the middle of this show, but go, follow my TikTok. That's where I spend a lot of my time these days. A lot of casual live streams over there. I definitely get more like nervous for YouTube live streams just because there's more technical stuff involved, and I just want to make sure I'm not messing stuff up. But yeah, so make sure you check it out over there. Also, make sure that you go and take a look at the description box below for the Discord links. And I'm also going to make a community post over on YouTube. I have been neglecting my YouTube people, so sorry guys, I do love you. But I will be making sure to put that in a community post so that you guys can access that. You don't have to click on a video to access that, because that's where we're chatting, having conversations over there. We have a lot of, and also, at least not right now. I'm not going to be needing mods because we don't have enough people who are in these live streams to care. But when we do, I'll probably start having to get some like YouTube mods and stuff as well. But these are just all like little notes and insights and stuff like that. What time is it? 4 o'clock. I'll probably stick around for another hour. I'm probably going to head over to TikTok just to hang out though, and to do some stuff over there. Probably, let me think. I'll think about this while I'm not on the live stream and stuff like that. So we've got like one question. Even you TikTok folks, any questions generally on if you have any thoughts or insights on the religion of wokeism, or if you believe that it's a religion, you know what I mean? I may make some insights on that point. So kind of like, I think that the idea of calling wokeism a religion is very silly because it's definitely not, it's not like a religious belief by any means. And simultaneously, I kind of get what they're talking about, if only for things like, I don't know. It's like confirmation bias. It's kind of like you're reading a lot into what you're seeing. So like, okay, a couple of people have told me that the Discord link isn't working, and I don't know why. So I can maybe try to put multiple links or something like that. I'm not sure how to get that to work, but I'll try to fix that. But yeah, so like I meant like symbolism to say that like wearing a cross, you know, like Christians wear crosses to display this is my religion, this is whatever, and they kind of equate that with like gay people wearing or like having, like I have pride flags in my office, you know what I mean? Is this the same as a religious display? But then I also have like the Hamsa and like I think is there astrological signs on this? No, but this is like a mimic of a tarot card. Like, does this mean something about this just because I have this thing? Okay. So if you, I can try to send you the link directly. I can try to do that, or Anima says to try to copy and paste the link. That might work for the Discord server. But yeah, I think that's kind of all I have on that point. Okay. And A makes a great perspective there. Okay. So, okay, A, I have good points on this. So A says, wokeism is based in Black civil rights, so it makes me feel they're racist, IDK. I'm with you on like that icky feeling about it. And I feel like maybe like 6 months ago, maybe I felt more like that. I feel like once again got like, this is like the cultural language changes. This has become like the woke as a blue-haired pronoun thing has kind of become a meme. You know what I mean? It's kind of become this thing that we just believe like culturally or whatever, or we just accept because someone calls that the woke or the woke mind virus or whatever. And then someone else says, oh, it's the woke mind virus. And it just kind of has spread. Yeah. I don't know. I have kind of mixed feelings on it a little bit. It feels really bad. It feels really bad because it's like, I'm not sure if you're just saying that like human rights is bad. Like if you're just saying anyone who advocates for human rights is like wokeism. I think that's where I'm like, I don't think that there's enough nuance here at all. It's very, to me, it's very reductive and dismissive. Yeah, here we go. It seems like a projection of their bigotry or something and calling the left woke, but their science actually agrees with the left. There's some anti-woke tethers to, Nazi propaganda. I'm on a couple different platforms. I got to be super cautious about my language. Someone says anti-woke is also anti-intellectual, but they talk in a smart way. Yes. Thank you. That's such a great point. And I am a personal person who thinks that the NAZI word, I was going to say the N word, not that N word, the NAZI N word, is tossed around a lot. Like, someone is like racist and they're like, you're that. And I'm like, I feel like you're reducing that to something. And if you're saying you are like on threads that can lead you in that direction, I can get that. I can get with that even. But yeah. And guys, right? We have J.K. Rowling as a little piece of proof. She literally went as far as to say trans people weren't attacked by the Nazis. Like, so if I get banned on TikTok, whatever. Trans people weren't attacked or targeted by them at all. Like, that is the biggest fucking lie. Come on. Like, okay. So a lot of people have said that J.K. Rowling had a lot of plausible deniability about her transphobia. Some people said that a lot of, I don't know about if that's accurate. But even some people from other perspectives were like, yeah, she seems a little fucked up. And the fact that people like Richard Dawkins and another one is my fucking boy, Steve Hassan, my fucking like cult mind control person is like on the side of J.K. Rowling. And I can see what he's doing, and I actually got like, he's kind of like saying, okay, guys, we have ventured so far away from the plot. I'm just gonna stay. See, yeah. We'll see. Okay, I had to verify the live. Ah, yay, RMG, you made it. Okay, great. Yeah, make sure you check the Discord for sure. Wonderful. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. Okay, so having a curious, hold on, there was like 3 different points. This is what happens to me, guys. And this is even worse because I have like, I'm live in multiple places. So like I have so many thoughts. You guys are bringing up thoughts. It's great though. I appreciate this. Okay, so, and I want to talk about this a little bit because I don't have anywhere else to talk about it. So here we go. Let's settle in, get a drink, get hydrated. Let's lean in, right? Maybe I'll stay for another like half hour or something. But I wanted to talk about, okay, I'm gonna like whisper it or mouth it and hopefully people can get it. It's like sissy, hypno. Okay? Hypnotizing people in the sissy direction of a, images of the nudity, correct? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't look it up. Like I wouldn't recommend it. Because like he's literally out here being like, yeah, like he's saying that like this is some like widespread situation that's like transing a bunch of like insecure men. Yes, the corn for the TikTok individuals, hypno corn in the sissy direction. Yeah. So essentially it's this like okay, it is this real phenomena where you're kind of doing this thing, and there are real places on the internet that have these very real videos and stuff like that. What does soft on boats mean? Anyway, I have no idea what that means. And I think for someone like Steve Hassan, who is like supposed to be Steve Hassan, who's supposed to be like super awesome and like mind control and like cult manipulation and all these tactics and stuff like that. Because Jamie, that's such a good point. That all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. And that's true. And Stephen Hassan even says that. Sorry. And so like I think that he's being dismissive of other people who are kind of warning him about J.K. Rowling and her transphobia and stuff like that. He's trying to be very much like this cancel culture is like, is kind of like this culty mindset or something like that, or there's some type of way that like social media can have this similar type of influence. And I think like, yeah, be concerned about like, influence on the internet or kind of like influential pipelines. Like for me, like let me take this down. I literally rode the boat down the spirituality to new age spiritual. Well, it's actually like African traditional religion generally to kind of like spirituality and then like new age spirituality, and then continued down the line into like super anti-Semitic conspiracy theory territory. You know what I mean? And you don't try to do that. You don't do that on purpose. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want that to happen, but it just like ends up occurring. And you're watching videos about space Jews. And I wish I was joking. Okay. I feel you. I feel that, Yeah. And I really do think Papa come with your face. Is that better? Yeah, I don't think, yeah, that's true. Like, yeah, people are definitely not taking responsibility for their actions if they're doing stuff like that. And complaining about it afterwards and being like, oh no, I was hypnotized, and then turned myself trans. I'm like, that's an interesting path to turn yourself trans. Like, okay, weird. But yeah, I think that might be the real only point. The other solid point that I wanted to kind of touch on is how I'm seeing these people who, and honestly, guys, like, it's people who I like have a lot of respect for personally. A lot of people who I have learned from personally, like Steve Hassan or Richard Dawkins, who have these other opinions. And I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. I'm really starting to feel kind of uncomfortable with these positions, XYZ. I think that it's important to be very, like I said, be very curious, be very like cautious about these ideas. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm curious about, so Levi says, I'm curious about the young woman interviewing him. Dawkins is old and terminally English, was kind of unsurprising. Oh, that he is this is kind of unsurprising that why he is this way. Xenophobe, eugenicist, and transphobic. He definitely, by the way, if you want to go watch his other video where he talked about the fear of Islam, I think that is kind of his like xenophobia coming out. Because like, I'm a person who I'm not going to say let's destroy religion forever. Like, I just don't, like, one, I don't even know how that would be possible. I don't think that that's realistic. But you're asking about the woman, like what happened to her? Like what made her like that? I don't know. Some people are just the way they are. And it's this weird, like, middle of the line thing where it's like, I don't know. Is it a super liberal position? Is that what this is? Like, it's just kind of like I'm conservative generally, but then kind of like liberal, whatever. Did I like move this or something? Did something move? Okay, whatever. But yeah, okay, let me think. Any other positions? Oh, let me see if I had some other TikTok messages. Let me see. Yeah. A says another one that conservatives want to conserve the past, but the past is literally just oppression. Fair. There was obviously tons of oppression in the past that we've done a ton of work to undo. I'm wondering, does anyone have any opinions or thoughts on the idea that we're moving too fast? That like time is moving too fast. We got to pull back a little bit. We got to pull back freedom a little bit. People are getting too comfortable or something like that. Yeah, I think it might be intermittent slouching. I'm just changing my position a bunch. That one I'm not so sure about generally. Okay. Once again, guys, much appreciated. Thank you for hanging out. Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting. Jamie just makes a good insight about their conservatives' obsession with certain types of graphic imagery. And we also know that there are, and like, I'm not going to say that every homophobic person is secretly gay, every transphobic person is secretly trans, or someone who is so against the trans community has to be hiding something. I'm not a type of person who believes that at all, mostly because people have, I don't know, they do things and advocate for things for so many complex reasons. I think that it would be reductive to say that. But I do think that there are like general fears and concerns, like generally men are like afraid of being gay. Like, that's a very generalized statement. Of course, there are plenty of men who are secure and comfortable in their straightness or in their queerness or whatever. And are like, I'm very secure, I'm straight, and I can paint my nails and wear pink, and I'm very confident in who I, like, you know what I mean? Like, that to me, like, that part is a little bit interesting. The other thing is, guys, like, I spent a lot of my life, I spent a lot of my life as a conservative. And I was like a kid, like a younger person for the majority of it. And when I started to kind of get a little bit older, I definitely felt myself quickly leaning and not in that direction because it felt bad to not care about other people. There's someone who, I think that his name is, he's Owen Morgan, Telltale Atheist on YouTube. He says, anyone on the left of hunting the homeless for sport, or anyone on the right of hunting the homeless for sport or something like that. Or it's the left. Anyway, but essentially it's just saying like this like deep lack of care for people who are marginalized fundamentally. And that is very, very hard, very difficult. A makes a good point. You can become what you fear, for sure. And we do have, you're right. Yeah, politicians just mirroring all that stuff. Toxic manosphere tells them that they can't participate in those type of stuff. Oh yeah. Have to be alpha and misogynistic and all that. And then A just said, like, I think it's protection. Yeah, I think that that is definitely a huge part of it as well. Yeah, I think sometimes it's protection of the status quo, protection of not having to change anything about any way about who you are. And also, I'll make a quick statement, right, about just being trans and stuff like that. Like, I think an aspect of my internalized transphobia is like this feeling of frustration, not necessarily frustration, I don't know. There's an odd feeling that like your existence is like requiring other people to like change or requiring other people to reflect on themselves and stuff like that. It's frustrating. You know what I mean? I will say that it's frustrating to just exist, and you just happen to exist in an environment where a bunch of other people don't understand you. And in order to be understood, you have to wait to be understood. Those parts are definitely frustrating. But yeah, especially as a non-binary person, because like you'll definitely see people who are like, oh yeah, like I'm for the trans. It's just that non-binary shit, that they them shit that I can't get with. And I will not lie. Okay, my little envy heart is sad. Gets a little sad, a little bummed out about that. And so, like I say, we have these like, I definitely have these internal narratives that are like, your existence is frustrating to other people, and like, so stop existing. But yeah, but I just am the way that I am. I am who I am, and I'm working on being more comfortable with the fact of who I am as a person. And if, for example, like people want to be in community with me, they let me know by caring enough, you know, to use the name that I actually use and stuff like that. Also, maybe I'll make a video about it on YouTube, but there's been some new family drama that's been it's just annoying, if anything. That might be useful, or might do like an update on like, you know, maybe my coming out story or something like that, and update just more about what it looks like further on, and how, you know, transphobic family members and how they don't get with it, or how they do get with it, like those types of things. Like typically I'm very reserved about conversations about my gender identity, mostly because of like my gender dysphoria. And if people like get super picky, or they start like intentionally misgendering me or something like that, would just be annoying, very annoying. And so I am a little like less talkative about it, especially on like TikTok, because of how fucking annoying people are over there. I get a lot less of that when I'm on YouTube generally. And so I've like, if you go to my YouTube channel, like there's tons of like trans and non-binary content over there. My TikTok is way more about like religion and spirituality and stuff like that. So it definitely would depend on the community that I'm a part of. By the way, A asked this question. A asked, how do I feel about questions concerning my gender identity? Someone also says, Jamie says, I also think cis people are confused because they never changed their gender. So why would anyone else? Like, I get that, dude. Yeah, I did not change my gender. Yeah, I just am, you know? Oh yeah. So, and I did like a lot of LGBTQ plus lives, like when I first started doing TikTok, and I took a break from that, mostly because it's a very exhausting to debate your existence and your identity. It's much less exhausting to debate like the existence of things like evolution and stuff like that. But yeah, so but yeah, if you have any other like specific questions, because A asks me, who is also non-binary, I'm curious about other perspectives on how you fit into your identity. Yeah, has to be more specific, I guess. Maybe I'm not sure what exactly you mean by that. Jamie shares that my mom was great, my dad not so much, but he gradually came around. Well, that's nice. I'm glad. Sometimes you get nice people who will, like your family members, will be okay. Sometimes you get mixed approaches, mixed views on different people and stuff like that. It's also frustrating when people will have negative and kind of strong opinions on others and will never do basic research, like seeing what they have to say about themselves rather than what the straights say. Dude, Slick, you should come over and join us on TikTok sometimes, just because earlier today someone was saying that like he was saying what was the word again? The requirements of being in the LGBTQ community or something like that. He was like, yeah, there's like these requirements that they have to make so that you pass the ideology along. And then someone made a comment that was so good. It was like, this guy thinks that everybody evangelizes because he evangelizes, everybody must evangelize. You know, that part to me is kind of hilarious. Okay. So, what inclines me towards my, I guess like what inclines me towards my gender expression is like my gender identity, which for me, I understand like because of my dysphoria, like personally, at least. I can tell if something is like just not right, you know, and if it's not right, then I typically stay away from it. So if I were to just like, I don't know, grow my beard out like super long and like, I don't know, maybe like take out my piercings and stuff like that or whatever, or, you know, I could feel like too masculine or something like that. That would make me feel uncomfortable. In the same way, if I put on like a skirt or something like that would be pretty bad. Definitely, I have way more dysphoria in the like female feminine direction than I do in like the male masculine direction. It's, not tough at all to deal with that. And the question was, what inclines you towards your gender expression? Okay, Anima says it's usually the people, or it's the people who think that no one. And I'm guessing that you mean like, yeah, like there are no real LGBTQ people, or like that people turn gay. Is it that kind of idea? Is what you mean? Yeah. And like, for example, the other thing for me is like, I really prefer like androgyny or appearing super androgynous. So I could, and like, for example, like, I don't think that these piercings are super feminine, but if I put like these ones in, they're a little bit danglier. They're not entirely feminine, but they might make me feel more feminine than other things will. Dysphoria is stupid, okay? It doesn't make sense. Have you ever seen those things where it's like, I get dysphoria from like the way that I sit, or like I get dysphoria from the way I drink water. But those are like more sometimes like little annoying types of different things. Don't even get me started on the fact that when we're talking about trans corn, generally, where are the trans men? Where are they? Can, you know, and obviously it exists out there, but I feel like generally, you know. But yeah. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. But cool. Any other thoughts or questions or insights or anything? But yeah, I definitely think that there's a lot less attention generally even brought to trans men in the conversation of like, it's like the what is a woman oftentimes is the main thing. That is true, Slick. Yeah. You've only seen them, it's rare, but you've only seen them with partnering with other gay men. I'm trying to think. I'm sure that obviously there are other people out there. And if you like went to like a specific like trans location or trans masculine place to look for content, I'm sure you could find more. Like what are those called? Twitter. I think people put stuff on their spicy Twitter. I don't have Twitter, so I don't know. But yeah. Okay, I think that's pretty much, I think that's all I have to say for right now. Today's a good day. Today's been pretty nice. We will, I typically try to do like one weekend time live. I will go over there, you know. Oh, I already have Live Studio. You know what I mean? It's just that like, it's just that like the tech that I have is just inconsistent. So I'm borrowing my wife's computer to do this because I usually work off of my iPad, and streaming from an iPad is weird. I just haven't figured it out yet. No, I forget what K it is to go through TikTok Live Studio. But all right, thank you guys for being cool. I'm gonna peace out, and then like I said, I make a lot of promises. Not promises. I say a lot of things that I hope to do and don't always follow through with them. Because I've been saying like this for this video. I'm gonna cut all this out when like I said, okay, and for like that, like I said, I want to use this video to make like another shorter one to put on like my actual channel, just so people can have like more concise piece of information. Also helps with just kind of putting out different types of content and stuff like that in between content and stuff like that. And then like I said, I hope that I will do it. Sometimes I say that I will do things and I don't. But for some reason, the stars aligned today. I don't know. It felt good. But yeah, and I appreciate there's, I don't know. It's only a handful of you guys on YouTube, but thank you guys so much for engaging and showing up. Once again, for the 12 millionth time, like, follow, do whatever the things are because of the algorithm. Comment, like, I don't know. Don't watch the video. I don't know, whatever people say. And then in addition, thanks for the hearts. And in addition, check out the Discord server. Check out the Discord server because I notify people when I go live and stuff like that. And then also let me know if there's other things out there that you want me to react to. If there are other pieces of content that you find or TikToks and stuff that you're like, I really want to hear Mav's thoughts about this. Let me know, please. I would definitely come on here and do a little reaction. Maybe one of these days I'll have enough to do a whole compilation in a video or something. So love you guys lots. Much appreciated for being here. See you on the flippity flip.